Caralee with North Texas Networkers, and
I'm Stacy Revely.
And we are sponsored by Craig Schrank with Willow Bend Mortgage. Thank you, Craig. We love you and appreciate you doing that. Today we have always a special guest. We have Courtney Echols. She's Vice President of Development for Children's Collin County Advocacy Center, and near and dear to both mine and Stacy's heart because we've been around in the charity world forever, and we love children, and we'll hear more about what it really is from Courtney. But welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family, where you're from, just who are you?
Sure. So I am actually a third generation San Franciscan, born and raised in the heart of the city in San Francisco. Went a very traditional California girl route, went to undergrad in San Diego and La Jolla, California.
Oh, that must have been terrible.
Somebody has to do it. Yeah, someone has to go to school at the beach.
I think I would like going to school at the beach.
Well, and then I thought, I couldn't get any closer to the beach, but for my grad work, I ended up at Pepperdine University in Malibu.
Oh, nice.
So I received my JD, my Juris Doctorate from Pepperdine, which is where I met my husband. My husband is a Texan, has always been a Texan, and is from Midland, Odessa. So his was a much more traditional Texas route, if you will, Odessa to Abilene to Malibu. And we joke that he was not even really looking for friends, let alone a wife in California, but here we are, we just celebrated 13 years in April. So we moved out here in 2011. I graduated from law school in 2008. Kind of a rough year to graduate in the job market, but I had actually always worked in nonprofit law. So I worked in adoptions, finalizing adoptions, and then worked in the dependency court system in California, which is really more foster children and foster youth. So that makes a little bit more sense as to how I ended up here. Development fell into my lap. I was not looking for a career change. I was just happy to have a job. But my husband was actually pursuing an MBA as he was finishing up his JD. So he bought me a little more California time. And I ended up working in development at the law school under Ken Starr before he went to Baylor. And then we moved here, and people always ask why, and I guess love makes you do crazy things.
How many beaches close by?
Exactly, not a lot of beaches, and I've been warned not to go to some of the beaches here, but no, not a lot of beaches, but such an easy place to live and such a welcoming community to move into. Quite a transient community, which I didn't really anticipate. So we've been here 11 years, and moved to Plano because of the schools for our then unborn children. But we had heard that Plano was great for families and great for schools. And so I think, we got here before Toyota and JP Morgan Chase, and we're so grateful that we did.
It's a great place to live. And
it is.
The Advocacy Center is so incredible. Would you tell us maybe just a little bit about what it is, what it means to you, and how you ended up there?
Sure. So the Children's Advocacy Center was founded in 1992, so we are celebrating 30 years this year. And the Advocacy Center model itself is not unique to Collin County, and it's not unique to Texas either. It actually started in Alabama, and there was a district judge who said, what if we could get all of the parties who touch child abuse cases under one roof? And at the time, it was very, very, people were very skeptical because law enforcement and child protective services, and then sort of the Advocacy Center as the middleman, it had never been done before. And so we have a unique situation in Collin County, which I know is something that is very, very near and dear to y'all's hearts, but we were a junior league project. The police department, Bruce Glasscock at the time, said we need an advocacy center in Plano, and the junior league took it and ran with it. And so the goal was to serve 10% of the children who needed services, and we now serve 100% of the children who need us. And so what we do is we really catch people at a place that is probably the worst day of their lives. We provide safety, healing, and justice for children and families who are victims of abuse and neglect right here in Collin County. So what that looks like is anything from emergency services. So our Rainbow Room provides clothing and toiletries and diapers and baby formula, which right now is a big deal. Car seats, pack and plays, anything that we would need to be able to create safety for this child right away after they've made an outcry of abuse. So a report has to be filed, whether it's through the police department in the city, in the county, or a CPS report is filed, and then we're able to jump right into action. So we provide that emergency response through the Rainbow Room. We also provide a forensic interview, which is really the heart of the advocacy model. And it means that a child only has to recount the abuse one time. And then from there, our multidisciplinary team is able to run with that in terms of whatever that child and that family needs. So our family advocates get involved. Our therapists get involved, law enforcement runs a criminal case, CPS makes sure that kids are safe. So it's just a true wraparound. We're able to call on Children's Medical to help with a medical exam. We're able to work with the DA's office to really prep for trials. So our role is really to walk with that family from day one, which is a really hard day, to hopefully, whether it is a future for that family as they are, or a sentence for the perpetrator. So it looks very different every time we get involved.
I would imagine a lot of people would be surprised to know that there's that big of a need in Collin County. Do you have any stats, or what does it look like in our community?
Sure. So in the last 30 years, we've served over 75,000 children and their families. We do provide services for the life of the child free of charge. So we don't, that doesn't inflate the numbers, unfortunately. I wish it did. But the upside of that is that children get better and families get better, and that's what keeps all of us going. I know on some of the really hard days. We are on track right now. So last year we served 4,000 children. Last year was a little bit more normal as it came to numbers. 2020 was a very off year. Reporting was down, not because abuse wasn't happening, but because children weren't in the places where reports happen. Exactly. So teachers and counselors are our number one reporters, and children weren't in school. So we served 400 children alone last month that received a core service. So whether that was Rainbow Room, forensic interview, therapy, one of our core services. So 400 in the month of May, and we're on track to beat that 4,000 number. Unfortunately, it's not a number you want it to go down. But I think it's notable as well that also bad news that the cases we're seeing are a lot more severe. So we're seeing a major increase in suicide ideation. We're seeing a major increase in cyber crimes being committed against children. You know, back in the 90s, stranger danger was very effective, and we were able to keep kids safer. We're still trying to figure out how to keep kids completely safe on the internet, and it's a moving target. So we're seeing a lot more of these cases come up.
So years ago, I spent a short time working at the Advocacy Center, and I loved it. But one of the things I loved most was the art therapy. Can you share a little bit about that and how that works?
Yes. So we're very lucky and blessed in that we have such an interest in therapists that want to come and work at the Advocacy Center. And I think those therapists really get that firsthand view of healing taking place, and what an amazing thing to witness. We do have art therapy that really works with the child and is really kind of that blank canvas. I mean, no pun intended, but a blank canvas for them to express how they're feeling, what has happened to them potentially, but also what that growth looks like from this point on. So we love art therapy. At the center, I think me personally, I'm very interested in the eye rapid motion therapy that all of our therapists are being trained on currently. And it actually, you train your eyes to come back to to a place where then you can avoid going back to that memory. So it's rapid eye movement that you can actually retrain your brain to bypass and to see beyond that incident.
Interesting.
It's very interesting. Yeah. We also have music therapy, play therapy, of course. We have a climbing wall in the gym at the Advocacy Center. We have a basketball hoop. A lot of times, especially our teens, they don't want to talk. And I think we're always dispelling that myth that therapy is sitting on a couch and just talking about your feelings. There's a lot of other ways that you can express how you're feeling, and our therapists can be right alongside.
What does the foster system look like in our community as well? Is there still a big need for foster families, or do you see a lot of these families really rehabilitating and being able to move forward?
So interestingly enough, Collin County does not have a large amount of foster homes. And so there's really a very small amount of foster homes right now. And so that should seem like a good thing, but that what that doesn't tell behind the scenes, the story that doesn't tell, is that means that children who we cannot find a placement for with a family member are having to live outside of their communities. And so that's taking them away from their friends. That's taking them away from maybe the teacher that reported the abuse, that quite frankly maybe saved this child's life. And so it's an interesting situation. I think it goes kind of hand in hand with, and I live in Collin County, and I love Collin County and work here and have raised children here, but I think it goes hand in hand with that we don't think it's happening in Collin County. And so we do have a need for fosters. I think most of the time, fortunately, we're able to place children with family members, but that's not without some kind of hardship. And so we offer the Rainbow Room, of course, but also we have a back to school fair that we host at the end of July to get kids ready for school, so they can get their school supplies and get a backpack, they can get new shoes, they'll get a voucher for a haircut, for meals. And then we do the same thing during the holidays. So we have Adopt a Family, Adopt a Child, and our holiday shop where our families can come, our non-offending caregivers can come and shop. And we have bikes, we have scooters, we have Kindle readers, we have all kinds of things that will make this holiday season hopefully a good one in the midst of tragedy and hardship.
Well, and I know each child who comes in gets a teddy bear because of the teddy bear run. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the teddy bear ride is our longest standing fundraiser, and that will also celebrate 30 years this year. So the Advocacy Center opened, and then there was a teddy bear ride right after. We're so fortunate to have a long-standing relationship with Harley-Davidson Financial Services. So they present that teddy bear ride, and last year was 500 motorcycle riders. And so they register, they ride, but they also are required to bring a teddy bear, and what we see is more than one. There's a rider who has.
They usually ride on the motorcycle with them, right?
Yes, they're tied on. Some of them. Yeah, there are some. I was pulling into. We started it at IKEA last year, and IKEA's been a longtime partner. But we started at IKEA last year, and I was behind a motorcycle with a Grinch hanging off the end. So I think I'm going to the right place. So this year's actually going to be different. We're doing a poker run style in honor of the 30th anniversary, and we'll have 5 different locations, and it's really cool to see that mass. It's a massive support, right? At the end of the day, it's a mass of 500 motorcycle riders who.
Can't miss that on the road.
No, you cannot.
Teddy bears.
Yeah, teddy bears and motorcycle riders on a Sunday morning in Plano. So that'll help the sheriff's office. Our friends at the sheriff's office, it will help them a little bit with traffic control, but we'll still have that big gathering at the end of the teddy bear ride and have everyone together.
And when is that?
October 23rd.
Awesome.
Yes.
And so if people wanted to get involved in that, what would they do?
Yes, the easiest way is to go to our website. So caccollincounty.org is the easiest way to find all of our events, from back to school to teddy bear to gala.
I was about to say, because all of this work doesn't come for free. You guys you're out there raising money consistently, and through events and donorship and all kinds of issues. So what are some of the other fundraising events that the Advocacy Center participates in?
So those really, Back to School and Holiday Project are really program focused events. And so they're child-facing. They're great ways to get involved with the center and to really actually back to school, you get to see the kids, and that's rare. So those are more program focused. We do have sponsorships. We, of course, love sponsored drives, whether it's your child's fourth grade classroom or the gym that you work out at, that all goes right back to the kids in Collin County. Those exact toys or those exact school supplies or those rainbow room items, the diapers, the wipes, all of that benefits the center. We turn and burn, if you will, and then try to get some more. The gala is our biggest fundraiser. So we had that in April. We raised a record $1 million this year. And it was just an incredible event. 1,100 people, just about 1,100. Felt like more, up at the Star on the field, and just a great time to bring everybody back together after 2 years of not being in person. And I think people were ready to get out and support. And I think the message is really compelling right now too, that, the world shut down for 2 years, but child abuse did not. And 2 years in the life of a child is a really long time. And that's about how long it's taking these cases to go to trial. So you can always give directly. We also have the Guardian Angel Society, which is a commitment of 5 years and $1,000 a year, however you want to pay that. And that is really important support for us because it's support we can count on. So I mentioned that all of our services offered for the life of the child completely free of charge. And what that looks like is a child who came to the center who maybe was 8 at the time. Now, 20 years later is getting married, and there's something triggering. There's something that brings back that incident in their life. And this happens frequently, actually. We'll get a phone call, can I come back? And they're at the center that day, if not the next day, because we have to bill insurance. There's no complications there. Once a client, always a client. So that Guardian Angel Society is really important to us to be able to count on. And we're getting ready to launch the northern part of that as well as we open the second campus this fall.
I ask about that. So where's your second campus?
It's located in McKinney at 75 and 380. It is a blessed, anointed piece of property. We had some dear friends that didn't realize they still owned that property. And we are building, we're almost there, 38,000 square foot facility that will be full service. So it won't be, you have to go to Plano for this, you have to go to McKinney for this. We will be able to offer all that we offer up in McKinney. My team will stay in Plano. A few different offices will stay in Plano, but
so you'll do the same thing at either center.
Yes.
You go to whichever one's convenient.
Yes, yes. We this started 5 years ago. A study to figure out how are we going to be able to continue offering services with no wait time and for 100% of the kids who need us. And the original plan was to build this sort of mega center, if you will, on the east side of the county. And the amount of space we needed just didn't exist. And so what we found was that we would be outpacing ourselves by 2023, which 5 years ago sounded like a long time ago, and now it's 6 months away. So we were able to build in McKinney, and we should open this fall. And it'll be an adjustment for us. We've never been in 2 locations like that. So a lot of work has gone into change management training and just figuring out how do we maintain that same level of closeness. Our staff is only about 60 big, but we house 220 in the Los Rios location in Plano right now. That is law enforcement, CPS, and the Advocacy Center. So
it's such a tasking place to work. It's rewarding when you make a difference in a child's life. But how do you cope with, and how does the staff cope with how daunting it can be to realize that there are people out there who take advantage of children?
You're right. It is. There are some days that are better than others. There are some days that are brighter than others. I think anytime a child gives a victim impact statement in the courthouse, I think it's a good day because it means that child has gotten their voice back, and that's what abuse does. It takes power away from these children. It takes power away from any victim, but especially the most vulnerable, which is our children. And so then there are hard days, but the team is very intentional about team building and really just kind of sometimes having fun and making sure that there is a constant support system. So whether it's your supervisor or it's your office mate, whoever it is, making time for self-care and recognizing that's probably not a 2-week trip for most of our staff, but it's doing little things every day with intention that sort of restore your strength and restore your hope. And we do have some fun things. We have a happy cart that comes up and down the hallways and has a different theme every time it does, and it's a snack or it's a note that's an encouragement from a coworker. We do cheers for peers, so we really try to highlight what people are working on. And then also just, I think, constant communication and knowing when things are hard. So knowing when a case comes in and it's a really difficult case, it's a triggering case for somebody on the team, and being able to adjust very, very quickly to that is important. It also helps to have therapists on staff. And knowing that you can go to people that have seen a lot, and so showing up as your full self at work, including maybe needing to duck into one of their offices, we kind of use our own to take care of our own.
Yeah, that's great. That's such a great support system. If people haven't visited the center, is it open to come in and take a look?
Yes, we love to give tours. I think it's complicated what we do, and it helps to see it and just sort of orient yourself. That's where the intakes happen, and that's where the interviews happen, and then therapy's on this side, and the rainbow room. And the rainbow room, too, just sort of takes your breath away when you look at the sizes of clothing, the little bitty sizes to maternity clothes, and knowing that everything in between can be a victim and is somebody that could easily walk through our doors today.
Yeah, wow. Well, is there anything that we haven't asked you that we need to talk about still?
I think we get asked a lot, what can I do? It's very, very daunting when you think about that there are bad people in the world. I mean, for lack of a better term, and then I think as a parent, I have a 9 and a 7-year-old. As a parent, you just sort of want to lock your kids up and just hope that you can keep them in this bubble forever where nobody would ever hurt them. And so I think what I like to tell people, especially parents, is how important it is to create a line of communication with your child. And we do a lot of community education, so I think that's the most important thing, is that we are reactive. We are here to receive people when they need us. So one, you have to know that we exist. And so I would say go on the website and familiarize yourself with who we are and where we are and what we offer, because you never know when you might need us as a resource, or a neighbor or another parent. And then we do have these great community resources. So we have a puppet troupe that goes into the schools, and they put on a puppet show. It's K through 2nd grade, about how to keep kids safe and how kids can keep themselves safe. We have protective parenting classes. We offer child abuse trainings for churches and for companies and whoever wants us to come in. We have a community educator, and that is their role. But that line of communication for you as a parent, so it's like, what can I do as just a person, right? It's just making sure that you're willing to have some of those hard conversations with your kids of how they can keep themselves safe, and putting those limitations on screen time, and knowing who your kids' friends are, and all of that, because we're all in it together. I think we will be reactionary as long as we need to be reactionary, but we've got to be doing something to try to prevent what's happening.
So what would you say to somebody who maybe one of their child's friends, and you suspect there's something going on, but you don't want to be wrong about saying anything? So what would you tell that person?
Sure. So good news or bad news, Texas is a mandatory reporting state. And so we all have a responsibility to report suspected child abuse. I remind people all the time that you are not the be all to end all in this situation. And so there will be a full investigation. And so what if you're not wrong? And it's an abuse hotline that the call goes to Austin.
Too, right?
It's anonymous. And so just because you made that call, there's going to be a full investigation. It doesn't mean that children are going to be taken from that home and never to see their parents again. And it's always, always better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. Well, and you probably want people to be back in their homes with their environment in a working environment, right?
Yes.
And helping the whole family recover.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we so loved having you here. We always like to ask a question that's kind of fun at the end of the day, and that is, if money was no object and you could do anything, talent wasn't, a worry, what would you do?
So the California in me is showing, and I'll own it, but I think that there's fewer things more majestic than being able to surf and to ride a wave that it's a wave, and they come and they go, and there's this beautiful science of knowing which one is your wave. So I would love to be able to and then you could go to all of the beautiful beaches in the world and call it a work trip,
So a professional surfer. I love
that. Yeah, with like a side of teaching people how to surf, because I think the joy of seeing someone else catch a wave, there's a beautiful life analogy there of being able to carry somebody to that.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's really nice.
Very nice.
Well, thank you so much. We just loved having you. I know we got to have lunch not too long ago, and you're just such a pleasure to be around, and love what y'all are doing at the Advocacy Center. It's such an amazing place to be. So thank you for spending your day with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I would encourage anyone that wants to find out more information to look it up on the website, because it is an amazing place.
Will you repeat what the website is?
Sure. It is caccollincounty.org.
caccollincounty.org. Awesome. Well, I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.
Thank you for joining us on North Texas Networkers.
Visit our website, mariposagroupdfw.com. That's MARIPOSA Group DFW.com for more information about the show and other resources. I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.